lot of you guys are actually struggling here. I'm not gonna lie to you. I can't stand here in good faith and watch you guys drowning because I am a lifeguard. Okay, the manual sees you. You go into the streamers chat. You're like, oh, your setup costs $3K. I don't care. What's your graphics settings? I want to copy it. My game's not running the same as yours. How come? I'm using your whole settings. Yeah. Well, the Google is all these clickbait videos. Oh, I can gain 300 FPS? No way. You don't need that stress in your life. The manual's here to siphon through all of that. Okay, cool. Call me the grinder, call me the manual, call me the lifeguard, call me whatever you want to call me. Okay, so you want less input lag? You also want less massive frame drops? You also want to know if you're actually running Fortnite optimally for your system? And I've got you, fam, but I also need to mention one thing really quickly. Let me just digress. A lot of people actually liked that Retail Row video last week, and I'm so happy about that. Basically, if you haven't watched the video already, make sure you do right now. It's basically just Retail Row shortcuts, how to get places quickly. If you want to save time, if you want to flank people, if you want to escape people, that video is for you. I was actually going to make a Tilted Towers video this week, but I have no idea what Epic's doing. I don't know if this place is going to get nuked, so I'm just going to keep it on the DL for now. Okay, so that's out of the way. Cool. Now we're going to go onto the Fortnite graphics settings. First things first, make sure you have your displays drivers installed. Very important. Also make sure your GPU drivers are up to date. I cannot say I use Shadowplay. If you're using the AMD equivalent, I cannot recommend either of those. They are going to add more issues than fixes, and if you want your game to run as smooth as possible, I'm going to have to tell you that unfortunately, you're going to have to just maybe try and uninstall it. Try and experiment. I'm not going to say both of them are evil. Nvidia's Shadowplay technology is actually really amazing, but I just run into too many issues, and because of that I cannot vouch for it, especially in a video where I'm talking about graphics settings and optimizing your Fortnite, you know. So that's just my 2 cents. Before we even go into the Fortnite settings, I'm going to be talking about monitors, and I'm also going to make sure that your monitor is set up correctly, because that is important, man. Very important. Your monitor might not even be set up correctly, so keep watching if you want to figure out how. You're spending tons of V-Bucks, right, on your Fortnite skins. I know, Cuddle Bear one looks nice, and so does that Raven thingy. They all look lit, man, but think about it this way. Your monitor is the most important piece of kit. So if you haven't invested in your monitors right now, I've got a link down below. Make sure you click on it. I've got 144Hz monitor just for you, fam. This one's actually well regarded within many competitive communities. And if you don't like that, if you don't like the look, I've also got another one in the description below, so check them out, compare them. I wouldn't say 240Hz monitors is something you really want to look into right now, unless you want to build a super PC, which is fine, but make sure you can hit those 240 frames per second minimum in the game. 144Hz looks really good, so just might as well just stick with that. Now we're going to make sure that our monitor is set up. We're going to right click on the desktop. We're going to go straight to display settings, fam. If you've installed all your drivers, just as I've said, everything should look okay, you know? Okay, sorted. Keep this at 100%. I know once you do Fortnite on full screen, the application's meant to take over your screen, but we don't want to take any risks, you know? So just keep it at 100%. Resolution should always be native. Yeah, if you've got any drivers installed, as I said, it will be native automatically. If it's not native automatically, it would at least have it in recommended in the brackets, as you can see right here. Next, we're going to go to our display adapter settings. We're going to skip the adapter. We don't have to look at the adapter. We're going straight to our monitor. I'm going to talk to you about cables now. Basically, VGA, DVI single link, and HDMI are your enemies. They're enemies of progress. I'm going to tell you why. If you have any 3 of those cables, you're never going to hit your frame rates 120Hz, 144Hz, 240Hz. I'm just going to keep calling it 144Hz from now on, because I'm just getting bored of saying that all the time. So 144Hz right here. You're only going to hit that with DVI dual link, not the single one, and you're also only going to hit that with display ports. Now most monitors and most new graphics cards, they just have the display port. They usually have one or the other. So you make sure whenever you buy a monitor, it has DVI dual link or display port, and make sure your graphics card supports it. So make sure that influences what monitor / graphics card you buy. Finally, we're on Fortnite, which is good, man. We're going to go to the settings. So if you don't know how to go to these settings, you just click on these 3 lines here. You click on this cogwheel here. Perfect. I'm going to run you through all these settings, what they mean, so that you can have the best, settings for you personally. Right, so if you're using Windows 8 and above, Windows 10, 8.1, whatever, you're going to want full screen on always. Basically, the Windows desktop on these versions of Windows have a VSync turned on by default. I'm going to explain VSync when we get to it, but you don't want VSync. When you put the game on full screen, Fortnite application controls the whole game. It controls that monitor, sorry. Make sure your display resolution is at its native, because if you do not do that, then your whole desktop changes its resolution. Let the software do the whole resolution. If you're having performance issues, use the 3D resolution option. And if you're really having bad performance issues, you can do a bit of both, but I'd say play around with the 3D resolution before touching the display resolution. Frame rate limit. So we're going to want our frame rates to be higher than our screen's refresh. This is really important because basically your screen's refresh is always constant, right? Every time your screen refreshes, for example, 100 Hz, every second 100 Hz is on your screen. Now, say your frame rate limit is 90 or you're only hitting 90 FPS. You're sending less frames than your screen's refreshing. And what that's going to cause is screen tearing. The game's going to look weird. It's going to look less smooth. So make sure you do all you can to avoid that. Honestly, you're going to want your FPS to always be higher than your screen's refresh rate. You're going to have to do everything in your power. Even if you're using a 60 Hz monitor, you're going to want to have more than 60 frames per second. If you really cannot do that, keep playing Fortnite. Obviously, you're going to keep playing it. But look into getting hardware that's capable of doing it. Now, I keep my frame rate limit at 180, which is almost 40 FPS higher than my screen's refresh rate. This is because, say there's an action like rockets, tons of rockets, big build fight, your FPS is going to drop. Now, if you're limited to 144 Hz, I'm going to be dropping all the time, 144 FPS, sorry, I'm going to be dropping all the time below that. And that's going to cause some screen tearing, some inconsistencies. It's not going to look right. So I like to have a bit of headroom, so I'm allowed to drop maybe 30 frames. Obviously, you're going to want to just always be above your refresh rate. Your FPS needs to always be above it. That's the main priority here. So with that said, I put my view distance on far. I still hit the 180 frames per second. I built on far because it does give a bit of a competitive advantage. For example, you're going to see like if it's a shield potion or a blue revolver from a much greater distance, if your view distance is high enough. So yeah, if you can, this is the one option that you are permitted to put more than low. You can do it medium, far, epic, whatever you want to do. That's the one option. If you want to put everything low, I'd say view distance is non-negotiable. But to be fair, I've been using view distance near for up until actually recently, so it's not the end of the world if you have to build on near, because it does do some performance hits. Shadows, I keep this off. It makes the game look nicer, and I guess there is like a competitive advantage. Apparently, you can see shadows like on the stairs if someone's above you. I don't mind. I'm fine with sound. Everything's okay. Think of it this way: the whole game is producing shadows everywhere you turn. Your body's moving, the enemy's moving, the building, everything has shadows. So you're gonna do a massive hit on your FPS. So if you're really struggling with FPS, make sure your shadows is off. That's one of the first things you turn off. Another thing you turn off is anti-AA, let's just call it that. Basically what this does is it smooths edges, I guess. To me, it makes the game look a bit blurry. FXAA is actually kind of useless in my opinion. I do not see like the big deal of it. I honestly do not. High and epic, they do some big performance hits, honestly. Does it say it here? Reasonable costs? Apparently it's reasonable. Temporal AA looks different to what I'm used to seeing, so this could be a different AA technology. Play around with it, but honestly, I'd say keep it off if you're trying to hit your frame rate limit. Textures, I put this on high, mainly so that my GPU usage is high again. As I was saying earlier, you want your GPU to be used. If you have everything on low, the onus is going to go to your CPU. Your CPU is going to do a lot of processing power because your graphics card is like, wait, I don't really need to do that much. So think of it as like your teammate getting downed, right? That's your CPU. Why are you going to be stuck reviving your teammate? You guys need to be balling together. So yeah, I'm keeping this on high. You can keep it on medium. You can keep it on low. I've also put effects on medium for the same reason. The one thing I've noticed with this is, the rocket launcher looks prettier. What else do I notice? Oh, the trees move. Yeah, that's about it. You can keep this on low. This actually isn't like a big deal. Particularly if you want to avoid like frame rate drops, massive frame rate drops, you're going to make sure that this isn't too high. Because, for example, If there's like a rocket spam, grenade spams, anything that, you know, effects can be added to getting spammed, you're gonna have a bad time. Post processing, I believe, is lights and little effects. Honestly, this isn't really like an important thing to have, so I just keep it off. VSync, basically VSync forces your monitor's frames to always be full before it sends it to your screen. What this does is cause input lag, and it also caps your frames at your monitor's refresh rate. So you have a 144 Hz monitor, okay, now you're going to have 144 FPS capped if you reach the 144 FPS capped. If you don't reach it, you're not going to see any of the screen tearing because it's just going to make sure the frames are full before it goes to your screen. Now, this might seem like a good thing, but honestly, I would just try and avoid it. If you're not hitting your screen's refresh rate, please just lower your settings until you get it, because that's the most important thing. If there's one thing you can really take from this video, apart from making sure that you've got a good monitor, is that your refresh rate needs to match your FPS at least. It's minimum, like it's non-negotiable. Motion blur, I don't really like it. I mean, this is personal preference, but I feel like, you know, Fortnite's quite action heavy. If you're turning around, you're in a build fight, yada yada yada, the motion blur, no matter what, at least to me personally, is gonna make me feel a bit weird. I feel a bit queasy, so I just keep this off. FPS, this is mainly for benchmarking. So yeah, if you want to benchmark all your stuff, you look at your FPS. One more thing, VSync also adds some input lag. I actually forgot to mention that when I was talking about it just now. And you don't want input lag in any multiplayer games. If you're playing single player games, that's fine. If you're not hitting your frame rate caps and you're getting, you know, screen tearing on single player games, that's fine. On multiplayer games, I'm gonna have to emphasize, try your best to hit at least your monitor's refresh rate. That's really important. If you have to like bite the bullet and put your 3D resolution all the way down, just do it. It's just worth it, guys. You'll see the difference instantly. The game might not look as pretty, but at least you'll be running the game. And if you like that video, you're going to like my video next week. I'm going to be talking about mice, sensitivity, etc, all your inputs. I'm going to be talking about the Windows aspect, different types of mice, and just wait for it next week. Hopefully you guys enjoy that video.